Now on Impact, this coming Friday, there will be a special meeting at the Miami-Dade Commission to discuss Mayor Jimenez's order to honor ICE detention requests issued after President Trump's threat to cut federal funding to sanctuary cities around the country. The order proved controversial and sparked protests on both sides. Joining me now on Impact are Miami Beach Commissioner Kristen Rosen-Gonzalez and Juan Fiol from the Miami Trump Volunteers. Thank you so much for joining us here on Impact.
Thanks for having us.
Okay, so let's talk about sanctuary cities, and in this case, the sanctuary county, because we're talking about Mayor Carlos Jimenez and his decision to uphold President Trump's decision. First of all, there have been protests, which we have seen. You were part of one of those protests.
I was.
In front of County Hall. Let's talk about sanctuary cities. Is Miami and Miami-Dade County, are they sanctuary cities and counties? Are they right now considered a sanctuary city or a sanctuary county? Kristen?
I think it's really difficult to label any city as being a sanctuary or a sanctuary county or not a sanctuary county. What we are is a really diverse group of people made up of a lot of immigrants, and we have more than 150,000 undocumented immigrants. So are these people living among us, working among us? Yes, they are. Do local police ask for people's papers all the time? No, they don't. So does that make us a sanctuary city? I don't know. We were on a list issued by the Department of Justice under the Obama administration saying that we were a sanctuary city, but county. But Mayor Jimenez says that we absolutely did not want to be identified as a sanctuary county. We are what we are, which is a demographic mix of people.
Juan, what do you say about that?
Yeah, I think that she's mixing up a bunch of different things that have to do with this, that don't have to do anything to do with this. For one, she's talking about undocumented people. They are documented; they just have documents from their country, and the whole thing happened with people that were in jails, in the county jail. Okay, and Mayor Jimenez said, sure, if ICE wants these people that are in jail and are illegals, then they're here illegally, and the ICE wants them, or if the INS wants them, then he's going to hand them over. That's all this was about. And of course, the left wants to bring in other things and talk about whether we're immigrants or not immigrants, or saying it's not about any of that. It has to do with the people that were incarcerated in the county jail, and whether he's going to turn them over to ICE or not. And remember, yes, we are an immigrant country, but we're a legal immigrant country. And the left keeps wanting to mix up legal immigrants with illegal immigrants.
Commissioner, I'd like you to respond to that.
But that wasn't the question that she asked. She asked if we were a sanctuary city or not. I wasn't talking about...
And technically we're not, right?
Technically we're not a sanctuary city right now.
The whole debacle came about whether Jimenez was going to turn over the prisoners or not. And you and the left want to turn it into whether we're a sanctuary city or not. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the prison, with all due respect,
I wouldn't put words in my mouth. You have no idea what my opinion is on this.
Sure.
So tell us what your opinion is.
Thank you.
Here is how I feel about this. We are a democratic country, and there's a democratic process. So when President Trump threatened cities around the country, our mayor, Carlos Jimenez, had an option. He could have followed due process, and he could have followed the democratic process. What would that have been? It would have been to speak to the county commission, set a hearing, receive public input, and then make an informed decision and try to find some sort of consensus, because that's what we're about. We don't answer a threat with another executive order.
Let's talk about quickly, because we don't have that much time, but let's talk about the resolution that you, as part of Miami Beach. Tell us a little bit about that resolution that you
Our resolution is about non-discrimination, and it's about inclusion. It's about following a democratic process, and it's urging the county commission to seek public input on this, which is what we need to do. Otherwise, you have protests, civil unrest, fear. We don't want to live in fear.
That sounds like a threat to me. Either you do it our way or we're going to protest. She talks about the rule of law. She talks about the democratic process. Our democratic process in this country says that our immigrants have to come here through a process, which is the Immigration and Naturalization Services. They have to go through the INS, and they have to follow the law, and that means they have to come here legally. And she keeps talking about the democratic process, but yet she says either it doesn't matter, they're here illegally, it doesn't matter whether they follow the process or not, and either you take it strong the way we say it, or we're gonna protest. And the president does have the authority authority to do what he did, and he does have the authority to take away the money if people don't follow the federal funds. If certain counties or cities don't follow federal law.
I want to talk about a Judiciary Committee document that lists that at least 121 killings within a 4-year span were carried out by convicted immigrants who were not deported. Every year, federal immigration authorities release foreign nationals convicted of crimes, including murder. Now, this is twofold. SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, has prohibited indefinite detention or because their countries refuse to take them. How do you respond to that?
Well, I think certain people definitely need to go. I mean, if we arrest somebody and they've been convicted before, then I think that there is reason to deport these people. But there are people that are arrested and you're innocent until proven guilty, and we just don't know about these people. And sometimes I don't think we want to encourage a process and put police in a situation where we're going to antagonize an entire
So you're saying there are exceptions to every rule?
I think there are exceptions to every rule, and we don't want to separate families.
Where do you draw the line?
Well, I think nonviolent crimes. I think, I think if sometimes people make mistakes, and sometimes you could be a breadwinner and get a DUI.
So then you agree that
and separate Mayor Jimenez, and cause
so you
agree
that Mayor Jimenez should immediately hand over to ICE all the people that are hardcore criminals. You agree with that?
I think that we need to come up with a decision and make consensus and have some sort of resolution that makes sense. We don't just capitulate to a threat from
It's not a threat. Do we hand over hardcore criminals or not?
We don't even know what the $300 million.
Who should pay for those undocumented people that are here and that are in our prisons?
I definitely, you mean the undocumented people that are here in our prisons? That's a good question. I mean, I guess the county's paying for them right now, but I just said right now that if we have convicted violent crimes, then those people should be deported.
Give them to ICE. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
If you were convicted of a violent crime,
that's what they're talking about. That's all it was about. Is handing over the criminals.
This executive order was about all detainees. It did not distinguish between violent crimes,
that ICE wanted,
not violent crimes. Innocent people are sometimes arrested. We know this all the time.
Quickly, we have less than a minute left.
Yes.
So it looks like there's some wiggle room in here between one point and the other point that maybe we can come together with some kind of agreement on this. Does that sound like so?
I think as long as you follow the rule of law and what the law states, and the law in this case states that the federal government is the ones who should be in charge of the naturalization services, of who comes and who stays, who's legal, who's not. And I think as long as we follow our democratic process and our law, we should be fine.
Commissioner, quickly?
I think that the democratic process does not rule by executive order all the time, and that nothing is black and white, especially where people are concerned.
We're going to have to leave it there. Commissioner Juan, thanks so much for joining us. The debate continues.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And still to come, our lighter look at politics.